Mansfield Town Football Club is a professional association football club based in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, England. The club was formed in 1897 as Mansfield Wesleyans, changing its name to Mansfield Wesley in 1906 before settling on Mansfield Town in 1910. They are nicknamed the Stags and traditionally play in amber and royal blue. The club is playing in League Two, the fourth tier of English football. Mansfield have lifted 4 professional trophies, winning the 4th Division title in 1974 Euro 75, the 3rd Division in 1976 Euro 77, the Football League Trophy in 1986 Euro 87 and the Football Conference title in 2012 Euro 13. The Stags also finished as runners-up in the 2010 Euro 11 FA Trophy. Since 1919 the team's home ground was known as Field Mill until April 2012 when, for sponsorship purposes, the ground was renamed to One Call Stadium, which holds 8,186 seated spectators due to safety restrictions. The full capacity of the stadium is actually 10,000. The ground was renovated in 2001 after a decision not to move to a purpose-built ground. Issues with previous club owner and landlord Keith Haslam came to a head when the club was locked out of the ground in December 2010. Although the issue was resolved, the club was left considering building a new stadium or ground sharing with a local club in order to be able to gain promotion back to the Football League. After protracted negotiations, Chairman John Radford purchased Field Mill from Haslam on March 1, 2012. History = Team history = Mansfield Town was formed under the name of Mansfield Wesleyans in 1897, the name of the club coming from the local Wesleyan church. The club played friendlies up until the 1902 Euro 03 season, when it joined the Mansfield and District Amateur League. When the league dropped its amateur tag in 1906, the church abandoned the club, which changed its name to Mansfield Wesley and moved into the Notts District League. In the summer of 1910, despite having lost the previous season to Mansfield Mechanics in the second qualifying round of the FA Cup, the team changed its name to Mansfield Town. In the following years, Mansfield Town swapped between the Notts District League, Central Alliance League and Notts Derbyshire League, before World War I brought a halt to proceedings. After the war, Mansfield became occupants of the Field Mill ground, after Mansfield Mechanics failed to pay their rent. In 1921, the club was admitted into the Midland Counties League, and celebrated by reaching the 6th qualifying round of the FA Cup twice in a row. The club won the league in 1923 Euro 24 and was the runner-up the following season, but on both occasions failed to win election to the Football League. In 1928 Euro 29, Mansfield won the Midland League again, but more famously reached the 4th round proper of the FA Cup, losing 2 Euro 0 to First Division Arsenal, after a cup run which saw them beat Second Division Wolverhampton Wanderers. However, York City beat the Stags in elections for a league place. In 1931, Mansfield were finally elected to the southern section of the 3rd Division. However, the club struggled to adapt to league surroundings and were frequently in the lower reaches of the table. One of very few highlights in the years before the Second World War was Ted Harston, who scored 55 goals in one season before transferring to Liverpool. After the war, Mansfield started to see some progress. Lucky to escape the need for re-election when it was decided that no club would be relegated after the 1946 Euro 47 season, the Stags started to move up the table. In 1950 Euro 51, Mansfield reached the 5th round of the FA Cup and became the first Football League team to complete a 23 Euro game home schedule unbeaten, although missed out on the only 3rd Division promotion spot. In 1959 Euro 60 the club was relegated to the recently created 4th Division, before gaining promotion back to the 3rd Division in 1962 Euro 63. This promotion was later tainted by lifetime suspensions handed out to players Brian Phillips and Sammy Chapman for bribing opponents, including players of Hartlepool United in a vital match which Mansfield won for Euro 3. 2 seasons later, the club again narrowly missed out on promotion to the 2nd Division. The season after avoiding relegation due to a points deduction for Peterborough United, Mansfield made another headline-grabbing cup run. Mansfield beat First Division West Ham United 3-0 in the fifth round of the 1968-69 FA Cup, before narrowly losing to Leicester City in the quarter-finals. In 1971-72 Mansfield were relegated, again, to the fourth division. By 1976-77, the club was back in the third division, and despite the distraction of a 5-2 FA Cup defeat to Matlock Town, beat Wrexham to the third division title. The club went straight back down, and only a good run of form at the end of the 1978-79 season saved Mansfield from a double relegation. Mansfield won the Freight Rover Trophy in front of 58,000 fans in May 1987, beating Bristol City on penalties after a 1-1 draw. However, the years that followed were inconsistent, with Mansfield becoming a yo-yo team between the third and fourth divisions. It was also at this time that controversial owner Keith Haslam bought the club. In 2001-02, Mansfield were again promoted to the third tier of English football, beating Carlisle on the final day of the season to take third place from Cheltenham Town, who lost at Plymouth. A poor season in Division 2 did not pick up even with the arrival of former England international Keith Curle as manager, as the club was relegated straight back to the fourth tier of English football. In 2003-04, Mansfield beat Northampton in a penalty shootout in the Division 3 playoff semi-finals, but lost to Huddersfield Town in a similar fashion final, after having an apparently legitimate Colin Larkin goal disallowed. In 2007-08, Mansfield's 77-year stay in the Football League came to an end as the club was relegated to the Conference. This was in spite of an excellent FA Cup run, leading to 2 BBC TV appearances, against Harrogate Railway and Middlesbrough. A fluke goal in a 1-0 loss to rivals Rotherham in the last home game of the season all but guaranteed relegation. Ugly scenes erupted at the final whistle, with controversial owner Keith Haslam being attacked by fans. Haslam left the club, as the three amigos of Perry, Middleton and Saunders purchased the club for £1 and installed Billy Massowan as manager. He was replaced after Christmas by David Holdsworth. Holdsworth's 2.5-year reign brought little improvement to the club and he was dismissed as manager. Caretaker manager Duncan Russell led Mansfield to an FA Trophy final appearance in 2010-11, Louis Briscoe scoring a late extra-time winner against Luton in the semi-final second leg. The Stags lost 1-0 to Darlington at Wembley Stadium after a 120th minute extra-time goal by Chris Senior. A league position of 12th was not good enough for Russell to keep his job. Paul Hall replaced him as interim manager during the close season. His replacement, Paul Cox, led Mansfield to their highest conference finish in his first season. A good run of form after Christmas saw the Stags finish in third in the league, although they lost 2-1 on aggregate to eventual playoff winners York City after extra time in the promotion playoff semi-final. An indifferent start to the 2012-13 season left Mansfield lingering around mid-table, with some fans calling for the manager's head. One good point to the first half of the season was the club's FA Cup run. A 2-1 win over Lincoln City set up a third-round tie with Premier League side Liverpool. A controversial Luis Suarez goal helped the Reds to a 2-1 victory, but a brave display from the Mansfield team gave the team momentum in the weeks to follow. Following the cup game, the Stags won 20 of their last 24 games, including a club record run of 12 consecutive wins, to clinch the Blue Square Bet Premier title, and promotion back to the Football League. The title was sealed with a 1-0 victory over Wrexham on April 20, 2013. Ownership. The 2006-07 season saw the creation of the SFFC, an organisation aiming for the removal of then owner Keith Haslam from the club. The organisation undertook many projects over the year to get their message over in a different and non-aggressive way. This included hiring a plane to fly over the local derby match with Notts County towing a banner declaring that the club was for sale and calling for Haslam to leave. On November 29, 2007, Haslam rejected a bid from James Derry's consortium and the Mansfield fans pledged to have a TV protest against him on December 2, 2007 against Harrogate Railway Athletic live on the BBC's Match of the Day programme. In March 2008, it was reported that John Batchelor, a bidder for Mansfield Town, planned to rename the club to Harchester United after the fictional squad from the TV series Dream Team to make the club more promotable if his bid were a success. Fans and executives within the club both stated that they would oppose the name change. Following the club's relegation in 2008, Colin Hancock, then the chairman of Glarpole, emerged as the leading bidder as he agreed to purchase a controlling share of the Stags, Field Mill, and some land surrounding the stadium from Haslam. However, three businessmen who were also Mansfield Town fans, Andrew Perry, Andrew Saunders and Steve Middleton, bought the club from Keith Haslam for an undisclosed fee, but they were still renting the stadium from him. At the start of the 2010 Euro 11 season, Mansfield were bought by John Radford. On December 2, 2010, the club was locked out of Field Mill in a dispute over unpaid rent. Since returning to Field Mill after securing a lease on the ground for a further year and a half, John Radford began to seek a way by which the club would once again own Field Mill. It was reported that Keith Haslam rejected an offer from Radford for Field Mill. The offer was alleged to have been worth in between £2 million and £4 million. On March 1, 2012, Chairman John Radford purchased the ground from Keith Haslam. Since then, March 1 is considered Amber Day at the club to commemorate the retrieval of Mansfield Stadium. In April 2012, Radford changed the stadium's name from Field Mill to the One Call Stadium for sponsorship reasons. Notable players recent history players current squad note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Out on loan note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Club officials boardroom owner chairman John Radford, chief executive officer Caroline Radford, stadium director Paul Broughton, operations director Tina Broughton, financial director James Beachill, director Steve Middleton, non-executive director Darren Shaw, club secretary Keith Burnand. Coaching staff manager Adam Murray, first team coach Richard Cooper, first team coach Mickey Moore. Backroom staff head physio Dan Kett, club doctor Dr Prabhu, head groundsman kitman Michael Merriman. Honours: Division 4 champions, 1974 75. Division 3 champions, 1976 77. Football League trophy winners, 1986 87. Conference national champions 2012 13. Records team records record win, Euro 9 Euro 2 vs Rotherham United, December 27, 1932. Record defeat, Euro 1 Euro 7 vs Reading, March 12, 1932. Best seasons, most wins, Euro 28 Euro 1974 Euro 75, 1976 Euro 77, Euro 30 Euro 2012 Euro 13, fewest defeats, Euro 6 Euro 1974 Euro 75, Euro 7 Euro 2011 Euro 12, most goals for, Euro 108 Euro 1962 Euro 63, fewest goals against, Euro 38 Euro 1984 Euro 85, most points, Euro 68 Euro 1974 Euro 75, Euro 95 Euro 2012 Euro 13. Player records records for all recognised league and cup competitions, most appearances, Rod Arnold 522 games, most goals, Harry Johnson 114 goals. Rivalries, Chesterfield, the club's main rivals due to the short distance between the two clubs. Notts County and Nottingham Forest, York City, Alfreton Town. References. External links, Mansfield Town F.C. On BBC Sport, Club News Recent results Upcoming fixtures, Mansfield Town official website, Official website of the Stags Supporters Association, official website of Mansfield Town Ladies FC.